All right, welcome back to the show, guys. Today, I have an awesome guest with me. And again, we're going to dive into all things fitness and sales and just how it applies to life. I'm really excited for the guest that I have today. We'll kind of dive into his story a little bit, and I'll kind of let him tell his side of things. But it's my brother, Brock. And so, Brock, welcome to the show, man. How we doing?
Doing great. Just happy to be here and honored to be
Let's
one of the
go.
guests.
Well, I guess for the audience and whatnot, I guess start with your story a little bit. I mean, a brief intro, Brock obviously done some pretty cool things. And I just want to go back, I guess, where you would start and just your story to this point. Just kind of give us an overview so the audience knows who you are, kind of what you've gone through. And then I'll ask you a bunch of questions about that as we
Yeah.
go. Does that sound good, man? So I don't know how far back you want to go, but what makes Brock who he is today?
Yeah. Well, I guess starting, I would say go back to high school. I loved all things sports, especially football, wanting to follow the path of, my older brother and someone I looked up to. And so, sports were always a huge part of my life. And it was definitely the most important thing in my life. And so sophomore year, being able to play and start on varsity was huge for me, and was able to then, after my sophomore season, get two offers to play Division One football at Utah State and BYU, and felt like I was on top of the world. And then heading into junior year, tore my right ACL in practice like 3 days before our first game, which, obviously we're going to probably go into a little bit more depth on ACLs and
Absolutely. Absolutely. We will. Just for the audience, so they know, our family has gone through, I want to say 6 ACLs,
and
myself, Brock, and my
Tiana's
sister.
kneecap popping out. So we've got
Okay,
all
so
sorts of
we
knee
could call that
problems.
seven
Yeah.
knee issues in our family. So we will absolutely dive into that. Okay, so the ACL
Yeah.
and
So then tore that ACL, and I feel like that time it kind of almost felt like a rite of passage where it was just like, hey, this is my thing that I got to go through. And, now is my time to battle adversity. And so, recovered, and I wasn't able to run track that spring because COVID hit. So I, was recovered really quick in hopes to run track that
Mhm.
spring.
Yeah.
And COVID hit just right before the season. I ran one meet, and it was just like it was hand timed, wasn't even any legit meet or anything like that. But so I was luckily able to get one in that year, which was big for me. And then, it was, COVID hit, and it was just like, all right, I guess I got to focus on the next football season. So, kept rehabbing, got back senior year, was ready to, in my mind, take on the world. It was like, hey, I went through my challenge. I went through my battle. Like,
Yeah.
now it's time for me to just take off.
Yeah,
And,
have the good stuff.
yeah, Utah State and BYU at that time, they had kept my scholarships. So, I felt like I kind of had that, I feel like I kind of used it as a little bit of like a security blanket, which probably
Totally.
wasn't the best way to think about it. But, felt like, hey, I'm good enough to go play anywhere I wanted. And so I was going to use that senior year and try and get some other offers. And then a few minutes into the second game of the season, my senior year, on a kick return, tore my left ACL and meniscus.
Mm.
Um, and that's when it really broke me personally. And
Yeah.
that was definitely it was a lot more brutal than the first one, obviously.
Yeah.
And yeah, and like I said, we'll obviously go more in depth on that. But and then, like, I think a few days later, BYU, Utah State, they both pulled my scholarships. Um, Told me I was a health liability, and it was just wasn't a risk that they could, I guess, take. And that was when, again, it was just like kept breaking, broke even more. And yeah, then got surgery, decided it kind of took me a little. I feel like that surgery, because I tore my meniscus as well, I couldn't walk for a month and a half or something like that. And so I was, really dwelling on that for a while, for that month and a half. But, I kind of felt like I was done with football and done with sports. but
Mhm.
felt like I needed to press on and not let what people said about me or what they thought about me as this liability that, I wasn't able to play at the next level. I was like, screw that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna I'm gonna rehab and I'm gonna be stronger and like if anyone can do it, it's me. And so yeah, got rehab really fast, was able to run track my senior year, set that goal of being the state 100-meter champion and then did it about
You hit it.
7 months later.
That's amazing, dude. Holy
And
cow.
yeah, I was 5A 100-meter state champion. And that was huge for me.
Yeah.
It was really
That's awesome.
that was the biggest win I had up to that point for me. And it was a big
Heck yeah.
moment for me. I feel like those ACLs really shaped my life and molded me into who I am now.
Yeah.
Anyways, so
So, couple things I want to hit on really quick before you keep
yeah,
going. Were you always this optimistic, or did life shape you that way? Because I know, just for the audience, like Rock has always been that person that I like. You hear him as he's telling his story. It was kind of like he just moved on pretty quick into the like, all right, like what am I going to do now?
yeah.
Like, share with me, like, was that were you always this way, or did you learn this, or how did that come about?
Well, that's a good question. I would say a little bit of both. I think I was definitely born someone who was just very optimistic. Um, I really liked to look at the bright side of life. And I would also say just I mean, I think that was something I learned from our parents. They always taught us that you can be anything that you want to be. They were never the parents to shoot us down of like, oh, you want this dream, you want to be an NFL player, like, hey, maybe dial it back, like, let's not get crazy kind of a thing. Like our parents really instilled in us, if you want something, you can achieve it. And as long as you work for it and as long as you do the steps required, like, why not? So I would say a little bit of both, where it was like I think, born more optimistic and that's just kind of how I'm wired.
Mhm.
But it was also just from an early age, like we had parents that believed in us and we had people, I had a great older brother that believed in me and he carved the way and, showed me, hey, you can go play D1 football, like if you do this or you do that. And so I just feel like I had a lot of people around me that were able to mentor me and push me and believe in me.
That's awesome.
And so then it kind of just ingrained inside of me that like, hey, if I believe in myself, then there's nothing I can't do.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, that's huge. You gotta have that self-belief. Okay, so now we're at the track. I guess
Yeah.
continue on from there with that story.
Yeah. So right around that time that I had won state, BYU came back and said um that they want to bring me on as a preferred walk on. And I mean, up to that point, I was talking to no one, like zero coaches. It was like, sophomore year, it was like all of a sudden I was one of the top recruits in the state for our class. And, I had won second place in the 100-meter my sophomore year, which I kind of forgot to mention. And so that was a big thing for me. But so, going from a lot of coaches reaching out constantly, in the recruiting process, as you know, like, you get a lot of attention, and there's always people kinda talking, always people reaching out, "Hey, Brock, how you doing?" Like, stuff like that, and so, like and then junior year when I tore that ACL the first time, it kind of, like, simmered a little bit, there was less, and then
Totally.
senior year, it was just none. So, and because, like, I hadn't played in 2 seasons, so it was like no one was really looking at this guy who just, only played his sophomore year. Oh, BYU came back and said that they'd take me as a preferred walk-on. It was a little bit of like a little sting, because
Mm,
it was like, hey, I saw myself as someone that could be on scholarship and that should be, but just kind of had to swallow my pride in a sense and be like, yeah, I'll go do it. Like I'll walk on.
absolutely.
And yeah, so decided on that, and then graduated from high school, and then went on a mission.
Mhm.
Served in Colorado Springs, which was the best experience of my life. My mission really, I'd say the ACLs and my mission just totally changed me. and really shaped me into a better person. I feel like my mission was kind of that missing puzzle piece of spirituality and you know being a more well-rounded person, and being able to be a leader and um, just be around people that they came from all different walks of life, and we're all coming together and doing what we love. So the
That's
mission
awesome.
was a great experience.
When it comes to your mission, I know that spiritual side of things, obviously, and for those that don't know, we're talking about a service mission, 2 years for our church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter day Saints. And for you, I always, obviously, this podcast is about sales and fitness
Yeah,
mainly. And so for your mission, I've always looked at it, two ways. In some ways, yes, it can set you back maybe in physical side of things when it comes to sports and things like that, like just being real, but I have also noticed that it set me ahead a lot in terms of sales and things that way when I got home
yeah.
from my mission. I totally feel that way. Do you feel like your mission shaped you when you got home, getting back into work and just like life after the mission? Do you feel like it kind of almost gave you a head start or a boost?
Yeah, I mean, especially in sales, like, I mean, you go 2 years, it's essentially it's not sales training, but it is,
Absolutely.
like, we're out there due to our own will, we're not getting paid, we're paying to go
Yeah.
out. It's full
Yep.
service, but the same principles that you learn on a mission transfer over to sales. And so I would say, yeah, it definitely pushed me ahead of a lot of other people. One, just in that sales aspect, being able to talk to
Yeah.
people, random
Yes.
people, and
Uh-huh.
being able to take on rejection just over and over again, people saying no and being like, all right, I'm not going to take it personally.
Yeah.
That's something that not a lot of people get. Not a lot of
Mm.
people get told no, when they're 18, 20 years
Hmm.
old over and over and over again like that. And so it definitely puts you ahead in sales, but also just in life, being able to figure out what you want to do and be around people that are pushing to be excellent at something, and that are dedicating their lives to something, like, that's a unique experience. And not many
Totally.
people get to be around other people that are fully dedicating every moment of their life to something.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's yeah, I would say it definitely helped me out a ton in a professional sense and in a sales sense.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like my mission, just being around the families and people, and you just learn from them and their families and what you want your
Yeah.
family to be like. And then you also are like, man, I like, this person is doing well financially. I mean, at least that's how it was for me. I'm like, wow, that obviously money isn't everything, but it's cool to see what it can bring to your family and life.
Yeah. Yeah.
For Go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
I was gonna say, for me, like the biggest thing I've learned with sales is, yes, you got to know all the things and whatever to say and whatnot and your product, but it is just a relationship. It is
Yeah.
really just being able to communicate. And I attribute a lot of that to my mission, getting me out of my comfort zone, talking to people. For me, I served on Minnesota campus, and like I was talking to 20 to 30-year olds all day long, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I attribute a lot of that to just being able to, have to talk to people and pushed out of my comfort zone at such a young age. So that's
Definitely.
cool.
Yeah. And I would also say to your point of, being around families and seeing people that are successful in what they do. We have a mission president for those that didn't serve a mission. It's someone who is an adult, and
Yeah.
they're called to kind of be the leader of, all of the missionaries in that mission, all these 18 to 20-year olds. So for me, mine was Spencer Eccles, who's huge in the state of Utah, but very, very, very successful person professionally.
Hmm.
And seeing
Yeah.
him, how he was able to operate and his work ethic was second to none. I mean, that guy worked every single second of the day. And so to see him, like how humble he was to go from meeting with whether it's politicians or other business leaders or owners, he went from that to constantly being around these 18 to 20-year olds who dumb and immature and are just trying to figure out their life. And so to see his humility, to be able to spend that amount of time with us, I think was huge. And it taught me a lot about leadership and the kind of leaders that I want to be around, and also the leader that I want to eventually become and be. So I'd say that was
Definitely.
another key aspect.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, that's really cool. I agree. You see these people that are giants in terms of the gospel and their faith, but like the work and the
Hmm.
stuff that translates to life is also just off the charts, right? And so
Yeah.
it's a mixture of both, absolutely. Okay, so continuing your story,
Yeah.
learned a lot on your mission. You had this BYU opportunity. I guess kind of continue from there.
Yeah. So I got home from a mission. Let's see, it'd be September or August of 2023. And, was ready to hit the ground running. Really felt like I was going to come back, get right back into football and go on. I had this, I guess, plan that I envisioned in my head, this goal. I'm big on envisioning things. And so, I went through every single step in my head and would just always be thinking about like, this is what it'd be like. This is the steps I would need to take. And so I had, this whole plan set out in my head on football and how I was going to get to the NFL.
Hmm.
And so I got home. I was gray shirted, which I believe you did as well, right? When you first got
Yeah,
home.
I did. Yes.
And, that's a unique thing. I
Which,
mean,
yeah,
yeah. Do you
which
want to
you
explain
could.
it?
Yeah. So really quick, gray shirting is not red. Red shirting is when you're injured and you're with the team and you're doing everything except for maybe like traveling to games. That's like
Yeah.
a red shirt typically. And then a gray shirt is just you're not even with the team. You can't even do anything with the team. Essentially, yeah, you just save a year to kind of get
Yeah.
back your legs under you. A lot of times they'll sometimes do this with missionaries just when they come at an awkward time or for me and Brock, it was more like, man, we had work to do with our knees and stuff. And so it was just getting our legs back under us so that we could come in and still have our red shirt year if we needed it and just hit the ground running. But
Yeah.
go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So exactly. So BYU, we would go in and we had like a workout every morning that we would do with
Uh-huh.
a member of the strength and conditioning staff. So there was like a
You
group
could
of
work
like,
out. You could work out, right? With
so
gray
we could
shirt
work
or
out, but we couldn't
yeah.
do it with the team. So
Oh, that's
it
right.
was
Okay.
like,
So you
it was
can't work
just,
out with the team, but you're
yes.
still training. Okay.
Yeah. So it was just one member or two members of the strength and conditioning staff. There was like probably 20 of us. Uh, whether they were trying to walk on or they were actually gray shirting.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like a unique thing. I think that's pretty unique to BYU,
Yeah.
um, and how they do it. But yeah, so we had
Yeah.
like a
I don't
workout every
remember doing
morning.
that at Utah.
Yeah,
I don't remember doing that. Yep.
I think it's because BYU has so many missionaries and they just kind of have this system that they like to do. And
Got
anyways,
it.
but yeah, felt like I was really standing out there. Felt like, I was getting home, I was getting back in shape, I was getting my legs under me and getting used to working out because, on my mission, we couldn't use weights because a lot of missionaries would put holes in the wall. And so I didn't lift weights for 2 years and
Hmm.
was just using bands and running and stuff like that. So getting back lifting, it was a big wake up call
Yeah.
and definitely was hard on the body and on the knees. But yeah, so gray shirted for I guess that'd be 5 months until January, 5 or 6 months, and then January started winter conditioning with the team, and I loved it. I was eating it up. It was a really really good experience. Being around the team, meeting all the guys. Really felt like I was standing out, especially with my speed. That's where I stood out in high school, and so I always saw that as like this is kind of my thing or where I can really stand out. And then went into spring ball and like 10 minutes before our first practice, Coach Hill, the defensive coordinator at the time, pulled me aside and was like, "Hey, we have too many safeties. And so if we keep you at safety right now, you're not going to get any time. Like you're not going to get on the field. And
Hmm.
so we're going to move you to corner. Um, and that way you can at least get a few reps." And so that, threw me off right at the beginning, just a couple minutes before practice. And went over with the corners. Really felt out of place, to be honest. I mean, at that time, I was like 200 pounds. And, as a corner, a lot of, you're smaller. And
Yeah.
so I had like 20 pounds on almost everyone in the room. There's a few guys that were around that same weight, but
Yeah.
just felt out of place. I didn't play corner in high school. I played my freshman year, I played corner and I hated it.
Yeah.
And so it was a mental battle for sure.
Yeah.
Just getting thrown into that. But it was like, hey, well, I've got to figure it out. I've got to perform. Like, again, kind of going to that optimistic side where it's like, I've got to just prove that I can be thrown into something and do my best and perform. So really, really tried hard to be my best and learn all the plays at corner after I was just learning it all at safety, and would get like maybe 3 reps in a practice. So it was difficult. It was really hard to go through that and just sit on the sideline and watch. And then all of a sudden, like at the very end, I get a few reps and it's like, well, I've just been sitting on the sideline this whole time. Like, everything hurts because you're not really warm anymore. And
Yeah.
so it was just like, I don't know, on the sideline, I'd try and move around, try and stay as warm as possible. And just for those 1 to 3 reps that I could get.
Hmm.
But yeah, so I mean, it didn't go as I planned, obviously. And after spring ball, we have like a meeting with the coordinator
Hmm.
just to kind of go over how spring ball went and everything. So I had a meeting with Coach Hill, and essentially he just said like, hey, we have, I think it was 17 safeties, um, and we've only got like 11 spots, and or 14 spots or something like that. Uh, and so right now, as it looks right now in the fall, we wouldn't have a spot for you. So he was like, you've kind of got 2 options. You can either transfer somewhere else and go play, and that's totally fine. You can do that,
Hmm.
or you can stay for summer conditioning. And then maybe if people transfer, if someone gets hurt, maybe you would have a spot. And yeah, so it was kind of like it was a real decision, honestly, like right at the beginning. I mean, I was only 4 months in, and it was like, wow, I'm already probably getting cut, or I've got to go
Hmm.
transfer somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so it was a really hard time for me. Talked a lot with Hannah. I totally forgot. I'm also married.
There you
Wow.
go. That's a big part too.
I missed that step because that was right in
Yeah.
between gray shirting and then starting in the
With
winter.
football.
Got married, to Hannah. We've been dating since we were 16. I mean, she's the biggest part of my life. Uh,
Absolutely.
so talking a lot with her, at that time, it was like, hey, I mean, we didn't expect to be in this spot. Maybe I transfer somewhere,
Hmm.
or maybe I just stick it out and kind of push through. And so we kind of felt like it'd be best for me to stick it out, and kind of, finish what I started here at BYU.
Uh-huh.
I felt like, kind of my optimistic side was like, I'm just going to put my head down and work, and like, I'm going to earn a spot
Yeah.
and prove that like I should be here. And so then went through summer conditioning, and like, that was hell for me. It was the hardest,
Conditioning. Yeah.
yeah, the hardest couple months ever.
Mm.
Um, especially because I had that in my mind of like, hey, you're not going to have a spot at the end of the summer, most likely. And so it
Yeah.
was like, it was hard to like have that thing that you're like pushing toward or really seeing.
Yeah.
Because it was like, I don't really see the end of this. Like it's pretty much at the end of this, I'm done. Well, at
Yeah.
least here at BYU. And so, yeah, I was meeting with, one thing that really helped, I started meeting with the team. We had like a team, mental health coach or counselor,
Yep.
I guess.
Yep.
And so I started meeting with him, and he helped a ton because, I was just mentally like a little lost,
Fried.
honestly,
Yeah.
and fried. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he helped me a lot see like, be able to kind of take all of this and kind of condense it down into what was most important at that time. And so went through the summer. I mean, they took my locker away. They took me out. They took my fingerprint out of the locker room.
Hmm.
So like, it really felt like they were trying to push me out,
Hmm.
which was it even more difficult. But just kept pushing through, and it was like at that point, it was like, hey, I'm gonna stay here as long as I possibly can because it feels like you're pushing me out. So, like,
Yeah.
just to kind of, like,
Yeah.
get that kind of edge and be like, I'm I don't care if I have to go home and do all my own laundry and
Yeah.
show up to conditioning with all my stuff on, like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was really hard, and, so went through summer conditioning, really felt like I was proving myself, but, yeah, at the end of summer conditioning, Coach Hill had another meeting with him, and he was just like, "Hey, we, don't have a spot for you," and, kind of listed a few things on I was talking to him about ways I could improve, and because he was like, "We'd love for you to just come back and try again next year."
Yeah.
But I was like, "Well, what would be different? Like,
Yeah.
what would I need to do to stand stand apart and, like, change?" And so he listed a few things, and one of them was just that I was on the brink of being fast enough, and that really pissed me off,
Yeah.
and, it kinda just felt like a slap to the face. It was like, I've been here throughout the summer. I've been consistently, the fastest safety when we do our timing things, our timing
Mhm.
drills, and he was just like, "Yeah, just not quite fast enough," and so it was a real slap to the face.
Yeah, that was bizarre. Let me ask you this. Now kind of where you're at now today, I guess looking back at this whole journey and the ups and downs, are you at a place now where I guess you finally like just almost look at it as like, you know what, it shaped me into who I am today. And, at the end of the
Yeah.
day, like no matter what, I gave it my all. And or where do you I guess what are the lessons you take from all of the hard things that you just mentioned, right? The ACLs, the coaches not really wanting you, right? Like what do you learn from those things, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think now it's definitely at a place where it's like, "Hey, that did shape me. That did push me in the direction that I feel like I need to be in now."
Uh-huh.
And, I'd say lessons I learned were, 1, just nothing's guaranteed. Like, especially if you're wanting to go into athletics or in sales, like, just because someone says, like, "Oh, they might be interested," or, things like that, nothing is guaranteed. And so, you're not guaranteed a job, you're not guaranteed, to be paid a ton of money, you're not guaranteed really anything, and so you have to just go out and get whatever you want, and go out and take it, because it's either you or someone else. So, you kind of have to have that mindset of like, well, hey, I've got a family to provide for. I've got people that I want. I've got goals. I've got, places I want to go in my life. So like it's either me or someone else. And so why not me? And yeah, so I would say like
That's awesome.
that was a huge lesson. And just again,
That's awesome.
perseverance, like being told
Yeah.
no. I mean, not a lot of people go through that experience with football of being
Yeah.
told we don't want you
Yeah.
and you're not good enough.
Absolutely.
And so being able to have someone tell me that, and then being able to work through it mentally to overcome it, I think is something that sets me apart and is really a plus for my life
Love it. I love it.
and, something that I can use.
Well, that's so good. And a lot of people don't have that experience because it's that quote, man, the man in the arena, right? A lot of people are on the sidelines watching and talking about how hard it would be and could be, but
Yeah.
going through that and being able to talk about it on this podcast is huge, man. I think says a lot about you, and I love that those are the lessons you took from it. I mean, that's very similar, for me as well, and
Yeah.
what I took from it as well. It's like I was told these things. I'm gonna go out and prove these things in other areas that I want to achieve. It does not matter what they said about me or didn't say about me. Like you said,
Yeah.
you either go take it or you let it play out, and they were right. That's the only options you have, right? So that's awesome. But before we kind of move on, I guess for you, looking back now with your story, I guess what did all of those injuries and setbacks and things teach you about patience and your identity?
Yeah.
Because you mentioned that a little bit, and I just want you to kind of even dive a little deeper into that.
Yeah. I'd say, I mean, patience for sure was one of the lessons I feel like I'm just constantly being taught over and over and over again. Whether it's with the ACLs in high school, like putting off all of my not all of, but a lot of my athletic goals to where it was like, I felt like I was going to win state. We were going to, do this as a team. We were going to do this
Yeah.
and I was going to achieve this. And so then like it was just 2 years of rehab, my
Mhm.
junior and senior year. And so being able to be patient. And I mean, by the time I started winter conditioning, so January 2024, it had been 4.5 years since I had
Mm.
really played football. I mean, I had
Yeah.
one game my senior year,
Yeah.
but really it'd been 4.5 years. So it was a long time. And so just being able to like, kind of like I talked about, have a vision. I feel like I was able to envision these steps or envision these goals that I had. And that's what kept me going, and that's what allowed me to be patient was, hey, I can see what I can achieve. And so I just need to do X, Y, and Z over a consistent period of time to get to that.
Yeah. That's
And
good.
so now it's like, I think it's changed a little bit on the goal side where I feel like right now it's more of I'm learning, hey, I need to find my processes, find my systems and stick to those. And then regardless of this outcome or regardless of the goal, whether I achieve it or not,
Yeah.
I'm still in that process
Process it.
to be someone that can eventually be successful and can, do the things that I want to do, uh,
Yeah.
regardless of what this outcome is.
Yeah, that's so good. It's like you have the dream, you have the idea of what you want in life, but you have to commit to the process, and you can't be so obsessed with just the outcome
Yeah.
because it'll hurt you on your journey if you do. Like, if you're just so obsessed with like, "Oh, I gotta get this outcome."
Hmm.
At least for me, I feel like it almost hinders you from getting the outcome.
Yeah.
If you're, like, too much, you almost are like you said, you're just obsessed with, like, "Okay, X, Y, and Z is what I'm committing to get
Yeah.
that outcome, and it will happen, because 'cause I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z every day."
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like, I mean, I've been kind of on a Nick Saban kick the last few
Love Nick Saban,
months or
dude.
so, and
Yes.
along with, Kurt Signetti. And I've seen you
Yeah.
post about him but finding a system and I think it's a quote by, I think it's Inky Johnson. I don't even really listen to Inky Johnson, but I heard some other athlete say it, but it was, "Can I be committed to the process without being emotionally attached to the outcome?" And I feel like that was a really good quote for me. And it kind of connected dots because I'd heard Nick Saban talk a lot about how a win and a loss, they're the same thing. You have to treat them the same.
Totally.
And
Totally.
like, I didn't really understand what that meant until I heard that quote. And it kind of like connected the dot where, um, it's like I have to be committed to this process and then not be emotionally attached to that outcome so that whether it's a win or a loss, it's the same thing. I'm still committed
Yeah.
to this process.
Yeah.
And so that helped change my kind of outlook on it a lot, and focus more on the steps I needed to take and the person that I needed to become in order to be this person that I want to be in the future.
Man, that's so good. And just to translate that to sales,
Yeah.
no matter if you close someone or don't, you're committed to the process and you treat it the same way. You're not too high, not too low.
Hmm.
It just
Yeah.
and so I've been learning that recently too, like with my sales. Like I used to get so high or so low based on the outcome. And that is such a good quote and such a good way to look at it. So
Yeah.
that's awesome.
And
Thanks for sharing that.
just to add to that with sales, like, I mean, so right now in my job, I'm currently
Yeah.
an SDR. So
Yep.
I'm cold calling. I mean, right now I'm only working 20 hours a week. So it's pretty much three
Yeah.
days while I'm
Yeah.
still in school. But so I have to be committed to that process of I just have to dial for 4 hours
Churn out.
straight.
Yeah. Totally.
And regardless of, hey, if I set this appointment, a lot of people, it's like, oh, I did my goal. Like I can relax or I can,
Mhm.
feel good about myself. And it's like, no, I just have to keep going because, I'm committed to the
Process.
process. I'm not committed to
Yeah.
the outcome. So,
Yeah,
regardless of if I set an appointment or not, or close a deal or not, I'm still committed to that process. So the show goes on. I'm still dialing. I'm still, if it's door to door, I'm still out knocking doors no matter what, regardless of how much I've made or how much I'm contributing or how little I've made. It's just a process.
that's so good. Okay, now transitioning because you said something about the recovery. For those that don't know, ACL is about a 6 to 9 month recovery, and you talked about years of just like going through working out and recovering and just that process. Now, I've shared this on podcasts prior that that moment for me when going through those two recoveries, I learned to fall in love with taking care of my body, becoming obsessed with that process of lifting and training.
Hmm.
And now today, I almost have the sense of gratitude. And I was telling this on another podcast that I had someone on here. I was like, I have so much gratitude to be able to go to the gym that you almost can't tell me. Like, it's almost like I wake up with a sense of gratitude to be able to work out,
Yeah.
stay in shape that like there's nothing gonna throw like I have this like different level of, man, you don't know what it's like to not be able to do those things.
Yeah.
Like that sucked way worse than waking up and going to the gym and making it freaking happen. So that's where I don't know. That's the thing that I had. But I wonder if you did you have do you have any of that? Do you have any appreciation or like a different relationship with working out and staying in shape because of the injuries?
Yeah, I'd say 100%. And very similar to you, where it's like, I mean, once you have an injury like that and you can't walk, like I was saying, for that month and a half where it was like I was on crutches and unable to put weight on
Terrible.
my leg. And it's like it was just the little things where it was like I couldn't carry my plate to the dinner table. I couldn't carry a
Yep.
cup of water because I had
Yeah.
crutches. And it was just like things like that, and then relearning how to walk properly, learning how to not limp when you walk,
Yeah.
learning to extend your leg when you walk, and then relearning how to run, and having like to learn how to cut right and be confident in it. Taking those steps makes you appreciate it a lot more, obviously.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I would totally agree. It's like, and being able to reflect on that constantly, I think is big to be able to, like you said, have gratitude just to even be able to go to the gym. It's like I'm grateful that I was able to recover well enough to now my knees don't really affect me in my day to day thing. Like I can still run, I can still do what I want. And so, yeah, I'd say gratitude. I think it's a good way to think about it, where it's like you wake up. I'm just grateful I can go to the gym. I'm grateful that I can
Man.
lift. I'm
Yeah.
grateful that I can do this and that.
And don't get me wrong, like, and because someone he was kind of like, well, I'm sure you still have bad days, and I'm like, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not saying I never like have a bad day, but I definitely have that feeling way more often than
yeah,
anything. Like that's the thing that gets me out of bed sometimes. It's just the gratitude of, well, it was way worse when I couldn't go, you know. So
yeah. I like it.
that's good. Okay, so what we can talk about, I guess we can talk about like your process with the gym a little bit. And also, so we both follow, like, we've both gone down this road with ACL. So we were very into knees over toes. We're very into alignment. We're very into like how you walk. And one of the things we've been studying a lot about is like having your feet go inwards versus having your toes go
Yeah,
outwards. And the best example I have is Michael Jordan kind of goes in and LeBron kind of goes out. So I guess for those that have ACL and stuff like that, what have you learned and what would you share with them with your approach if you have bad knees or like I don't know, is there anything you would share? And then
yeah,
we can talk about that for a second.
yeah. I mean, I would say anyone that's got knee problems, knees over toes guy is the holy grail.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Totally
And
agree.
really, I think anyone should incorporate at least some of what he teaches and what he's done.
Yeah,
Especially, people that are going into being a little bit on the older side and, mobility is maybe a little bit more difficult.
totally.
Like, I mean, he constantly shows his mom, I don't know how old she is, but like
Yeah.
she's crazy. She's doing all sorts of stuff
Yeah.
with her knees. And it's like, what the heck?
Yeah, they got something right over there. They got something right, what they're doing.
Yeah.
No,
So
that's
I would
good.
say just, I mean, looking at those little things, um, when you do anything at a high level, like little things set people apart. And so being able to look at the way you walk, whether it's, I mean, I feel like there's kind of two ends of the spectrum. I feel like Michael Jordan's on like the pigeon toe,
Yeah.
this side, and then like LeBron, I feel like is on the total opposite side. So it's very interesting that you have two people that are, that have performed very high in what they do. Uh, it seems like, if anything, you'd rather lean toward being more pigeon toed than outward.
I think so. And I've tested it, man. Like, I feel like when I do that, when I'm training or when I'm doing anything high level, I feel like it does release the pain on my knees.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it, but yeah,
Yeah, it engages different muscles around your knee, and
totally.
I agree. It definitely feels different.
Yeah,
Squatting, like I think squatting is a huge example where,
totally.
oftentimes you're taught, when you've got heavy weight, especially, turn
Wow,
your feet out a little bit,
100%.
get your knees out a little bit wider
And
than shoulder length, and
yeah,
it's just like it's different.
I think that's a mistake we both made, man. Like,
Yeah.
I did that too, because that was the only way I could get the depth that I needed with heavy weight. But I
You
do
got
think that's
coaches
a
screaming in your face,
think
"Lower!"
I
And
think it's
it's
a
like you
huge
just gotta
mistake,
figure it out.
dude. Yeah, I think it's a
Yeah.
huge mistake, and if you're an athlete and you're younger or you're older, like you said, just a little thing sometimes will catch up to you. And so, I don't know. That's what
Yeah.
I'd say with that stuff for
Yeah,
sure.
I completely agree.
So what about your routine? Like, how do you stay in incredible shape? Like, what's your approach, I guess? Weekly basis? How many times do you train? What does it look like?
Yeah, so over the last few months, I ran a half marathon, which was great. It was great to have something to like have a goal and work toward. I know you had Chris Roberts, our brother-in-law, on, and
Yeah.
he talked about his experience with the marathon. He's definitely on a different level than I am with it. He's really taken it on and done great with it. But it was a huge shift for me going from being a sprinter, and really that like football mindset with lifting,
Yeah.
to going to like training for something like originally I was training for a full marathon, and then kind of hurt my ankle and fell out of like the routine for like a month because I was just trying to get my ankle better. So then I
Mm.
switched to the half marathon, which I'm very grateful that I did because I would not have survived that full.
Full one. Yeah.
But anyways, so I feel like the past few months it's kind of shifted back and forth. But right now I try and train, I would say 5 days a week, 4 to 5 days a week, and I'm kind of in this stage where I'm trying to figure out what works best for me, and so I'm kinda trying new things, and I'd say right now, I mean, the thing that I've enjoyed the most, I'd say, is probably the split of, like, legs, push, pull. I've enjoyed that. I think it's a pretty good structure. I enjoyed it.
Nice.
I'd say that's probably the best kind of split that I've found,
So you
and that
go
works
3
the best
days
for me.
throughout the
3
week
days.
or
Yeah,
3
so it'd be
3
like
days?
legs on Monday, push Tuesday. Wednesday, I've gone back and forth. Sometimes I'll do like Wednesday is kind of my rest day, or a day that I'll just walk for, I don't know, whether it's 30 minutes or maybe I'll run. I still try and run like 1 to 2 times a week just because I enjoy it. And, it's a way to like just put effort into something and like sweat. Like I don't know. I feel like it's just something that I like to
Absolutely.
do. So I'll try and one
Cool.
run 1 to 2 times a week. And so that Wednesday is kind of like either a rest day, or more of like an active recovery. Thursday will be, I guess, pull. And then my Friday and Saturday, I feel like kind of shift. And I need to be a little bit better at like creating here's exactly what I'm going to do. But Fridays and Saturdays, whether it's like sometimes I'll just do a full body workout just because it's like, hey, that's kind of fun. Or
Yeah, like a
I'll
fun day.
try,
Like a f
yeah, like a
yeah,
fun day where it's like I'll try
yeah,
yoga, or I'll do
yeah,
Pilates, or, something random
cool.
that's just kind of like keeps you
Just to
alive,
do
trying
something.
something new.
Yeah,
And then usually Saturdays like a run, or um, something like that. So
nice. Like it.
that was kind of all over the
Okay.
place, but
Well, that's good. No, that was great. Sounds like you push pull legs and then you're running a couple times a week as well, essentially.
yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, and then let's see, what else was I gonna say? What would you say? So as we're kind of getting towards the end of this, yes, man, I'm curious. Just being your brother, you're one of the most optimistic people that I know, and I want to know why. Why do you choose that in your life? Because I feel like it's a choice. Like I get
Yeah.
that you may have come up with that mentality, but I do believe you continue to choose that. And so, why do you feel like you do?
Yeah, I agree. I feel like I can see like the person I want to be,
Hmm.
and like I have this idea of who I want to become, and what I want people to feel when they're around me or when they're talking to me. You know, someone that my kids will look up to eventually. So I feel like I have this vision of who I want to become and what's important to me. And so, like you said, it's a choice. So it's like, to me, that is like everything that I work for. And so it would be wrong, or I guess foolish of me to choose something different. Like when you experience things, like you have a choice. You can either let those experiences hold you down, make you feel like, you're not in control of your life, or you can just choose to build upon it and like learn from it. And I don't know, in my mind it's just like, to me it is really simple, where it's like, yeah, just make the choice of, why wouldn't everything that happens to me just be this plus?
Yeah,
Like, why wouldn't it just help me? Uh, like in the scriptures, it talks a lot about how, everything that happens to you is for a reason, and can be for your benefit. And so it's not necessarily saying that, oh, God made me tear my ACL, or God made me, get cut from the football team. Like it's not like that. But when you have a mindset of everything can be for your benefit, I think that's really kind of shifted where I see it, where it's like, hey, when it sucks, that's in a year, in 2 years, in 10 years, I'm gonna really look back on this and say like, that was, the time of my life. That was what shaped me. Like my ACLs, it's like that's what shaped
absolutely.
me. And
Yeah,
like going through football at BYU, like that's what shaped me. It sucked.
yeah,
I had a class with Ryan Smith. He's a jazz owner, and he teaches a class at BYU.
that's cool.
It's just a lecture series, so he just essentially brings people in and interviews them. But one of the days he was talking about, he asked us like, "What are you most proud of?" That's how he started the class, and he's like, "I don't. It doesn't matter what it is, when it was, but like, what makes you proud about yourself or things that you accomplished?" And every single person that raised their hand talked about a hard time, and or something that they worked toward, and that they had to go through something to get. And so he's like, if you thought about trials or hard times with the mindset of, this could be something that I'm most proud of, this could be a moment that I'm most proud of in my life, how would you look at it? Like, what would you do different? What would your mindset be as you're going through it? And so I feel like that's just how I see it. It's like your mindset is everything. And like you said, it is a choice. I feel like I choose to be optimistic. It comes more naturally now that I've done it more and more and more. But yeah, it's just how you shape it and how you look at things.
That's awesome. That's great, great examples. I always that quote always comes in my mind. You can either be a victim or a victor, and it's like that mentality. Yeah, you just have that choice. So I guess my as we're closing this up, man, we'll do this again, obviously, but
Yeah,
one of my questions that I like to end with, and again, it's nothing that I'm looking for like some perfect answer. I just want to know in your mind right now, what is your definition of success at this point in your life? It's going to change because as you get older, it changes. But like right now, if you were to look at it, like what is your definition of success?
I would say my definition of success, if I were to fast forward, I don't know, however long, 10 years or whatever, like I would say if I can look back and say that I was all in on my spirituality, my physical health, my relationship with my wife and future kids, and my like I guess, knowledge, constantly learning and growing. I would say that would be success to me. And so it's really just an effort thing. It's like success obviously isn't defined by how much you make or what you have, but I think it's more defined on the person you are, um, and who you want to be. As long as I'm moving toward being more like my savior, like, that's success to me, and being someone that has integrity with the people that I'm with and around, like, I feel like that's success to me. So, yeah, that's how I
That's
would
awesome.
kind of explain it.
I love it. All in all the areas. Become
Yeah.
more like your savior. And if you're pushing to be that all in mentality. Brock, thanks so much for coming on. This was a killer podcast. For those of you that want to follow Brock on Instagram or whatever, I'll put his Instagram in the bio here. But yeah, thanks for coming on, man. Until
Thank
next
you.
time, guys. I appreciate it. And take care.